seek the protection of God from Shaitan, who has been disqualified from God's special mercy because of his arrogance and defiance. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. We turn humbly to God and ask for his guidance and special blessings, because we believe he is the all-perfect one, the all-merciful one, and one whose special mercy is endless. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala sayyidina wa nabiyyina Muhammad wa alihi at-tahirin. And we send our salutations and greetings on the Holy Prophet and on his holy progeny, who are the best guides for mankind till the end of time. Elders, scholars, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. We were discussing Surah Waqiah. It's chapter 56. It has 96 verses. It's revealed in the pre-migration period. And sequentially it is recorded as the 44th surah, revealed between chapter 20 Surah Taha and chapter 26 Surah Ash-Shu'ara. And in order to appreciate the importance of the surah, consider the riwayat which remind us about the merit of and the benefit of reciting the surah. So one riwayah says, whoever recites it on a regular basis every night, lam tusibhu faqatun abada, he shall not be afflicted with poverty. Another riwayah says, if you recite this on a regular basis every Thursday night, then the reward is that ahabbahullah, Allah will love this person. That means the surah somehow is changing the person in such a way that it improves him, purifies him, perfects him, and God loves all perfection, therefore God loves this man. وَحَبَّبَهُ إِلَى النَّاسِ, and he makes him also lovable to the people also, because his character then changes, and naturally you attract people with your improved character. A third riwayah says that if you recite this surah, لَقِيَ اللَّهَ, he shall meet his Lord. وَوَجْهُهُ كَالْقَمَرِ, he shall meet his Lord and his face shall be bright like, how can we describe to you the brightness? Have you observed a dark night and the bright moon, the qamar, but on a qamar which is badr, the full moon, on a dark night. So whereas in contrast to others who will not be so bright, who will have darkness as a representation of the deficiency of goodness, of virtue, of purity, this person will be bright, shining brightly. A fourth riwayah says, whoever recites this surah, then the description of Jannah in this surah is such that it will stimulate and motivate you to want to aspire for Jannah. Man ishtaqa ila al-Jannah wa sifatiha falyaqra Surah Waqiah. If you want to know about the Jannah and its description, then you better recite Surah Waqiah. A brief outline of the surah, we can divide it into 6 sections. The introduction, ayah number 1 to 6. This momentous global event, universal event, إِذَا وَقَعَتِ الْوَاقِعَةِ, when the event shall happen. There's no better description. It's so great, so universal, so all-pervasive. The proper description is, it is the event. إِذَا وَقَعَتِ الْوَاقِعَةِ لَيْسَ لِوَقَعَتِهَا كَاذِبًا. Nobody can deny its truthfulness. When it does appear, its signs of truthfulness shall be all-pervasive. خَافِضَةٌ رَافِعَةٌ, it shall lower some, it shall raise some. The standards of social class shall all be flip-flopped. The true standards shall be displayed. وَإِذَا رُجَّتِ الْأَرْضُ رَجًّا, before the event appears, what will happen is the earth will be shaken violently. وَبُسَّتِ الْجِبَالُ بَسًّا, and the mountains will crumble and become dust-like. فَكَانَتْ هَبَاءً مُنْبَثًّا, it shall be like scattered dust particles. The solid entity shall be crushed and crumbled to dust. That's how momentous and enormous will be the change in the physical world. In the spiritual world, in the human world, وَكُنْتُمْ أَزْوَاجًا ثَلَاثًا, section 2, ayah number 7 to 10. And then you shall be divided into 3 groups. فَأَصْحَابُ الْمَيْمَنَةِ مَا أَصْحَابُ الْمَيْمَنَةِ. There will be those who are the right-handers. Oh, what can make you understand what this group is? وَأَصْحَابُ الْمَشْأَمَةِ مَا أَصْحَابُ الْمَشْأَمَةِ. And they'll be the left-handers. And what can make you appreciate the deprivation and the degradation and the wickedness of this group, left-handers? وَالسَّابِقُونَ. And those who are the foremost. But what about them? As-sabiqun, they are truly the advanced ones, the foremost ones in their actions here, the foremost ones in their rewards there. And then beginning from ayah number 11 to ayah number 56, there's a description of the reward and the punishment to be given to these 3 groups. So ayah 11 to 26 describes the reward, the 7 blessings and bounties that will be rewarded to the sabiqun. أولئك المقربون. The first reward is that they are the ones who are the closest to God. In the whole scheme of creation, they have managed to purify and perfect themselves to the maximum. So they are the closest. ثلة من الأولين قليل من الآخرين. There will be more from the past communities, less from the last community. And we said that the implication of this is that because the Sabiqun are the prophets, 1, or the successors of the prophets, 2, and because there were more prophets in the past, definitely this group will be more from the past, less from this last community. في جنات النعيم, and they shall be in paradise. على سرر موضونة. The first bounty that will be given to them is they will be allowed to relax on the sofa. Can we go to the next slide, please? No, just the next one. Yes, next. Yes. على سرر موضونة. They shall be relaxing on couches. متكئين عليها متقابلين. They shall be facing each other. There will be honesty. There will be sincerity. There will be purity in their relationship to each other. يطوف عليهم ولدان مخلدون. They shall be served. They don't have to go and get it. They shall be provided. When you invite a guest, there are 2 ways of serving him. So if there is a banquet and we've laid down everything on the table, come and help yourself. The other way is you take your seat, we shall come and serve you. That's more honorable. That's more dignified. يطوف عليهم ولدان مخلدون. Number 3, بأكواب وأباريق وكأس من معين. And we shall serve them in different types of vessels, each type of vessel representing a different degree of the bounties that are going to be presented. لا يصدعون عنها ولا ينزفون. Hey, but if you're going to serve them spirits and wine, the wines we know are the ones that have the after morning headaches and they have the side effect of intoxication. No. لا يصدعون عنها. This wine is different. We want to explain to you that there are pleasurable drinks. But what example can we give you? We give you the example of the wine, but without any of the defects of the dunya. وَلَا يُنْزِفُونَ. They shall not lose their mind. It will give them pleasure, but of a different type, where their rationality is totally maintained. No, their rationality is going to be purified and rarefied by this drink. Number 4, وَلَهُمْ فَاكِهَةٌ مِمَّا يَتَخَيَّرُونَ. There'll be served fruits. No, but the number of fruits, the quantity and the quality will be so diverse. They'll be given the choice to choose. وَلَحْمِ طَيْرٍ مِمَّا يَشْتَهُونَ. And bird meat shall be served of whatever they desire. وَحُورٌ عِينٌ. And they shall be given spouses. And as I pointed out last time, hur is the plural of either ahwar or hawra, masculine and or feminine. So the spouse refers to male spouse and female spouse. It doesn't necessarily refer to the female only companion. And finally, جزاء بما كانوا يعملون لا يسمعون فيها لغوا ولا تأثيما إلا قيلا سلاما سلاما. All this was physical, but there will be something spiritual also. And that spiritual is, there will be a total state of bliss and peace and harmony and grace. Next slide, please. The question was, if the sabiqun are not restricted only, the foremost, only to the prophets, one, to the successors of the prophets, two, but sabiqun also includes others who are the foremost in listening to the call of the truth and the invitation and responding to it and accepting it, and therefore even amongst the ordinary members you will have foremost. And the riwayah says that, for example, amongst the people of Rome it was Suhaib, amongst the people of Habash it was Bilal, amongst the people of Fars and Persia it was Salman. Different communities obviously will have one person who was the first to respond to the invitation to truth. And therefore ordinary people can achieve the status of becoming the sabiqun, the closest possible to the successor or to the prophet. Question: what if I want to become the sabiqun? What do I do? In the Quran, elsewhere also there is mention of the sabiqun. Chapter 23, which is Surah Mu'minun, ayah number 55 onwards, Allah condemns a particular perspective whereby people thought that those who are materially successful, they are the ones who are the foremost. Chapter 23, ayah number 55. أَيَحْسَبُونَ أَنَّ مَا نُمِدُّهُمْ بِهِ مِنْ مَالٍ وَبَنِينَ. Do they suppose and think that what we grant them and bless them with, wealth or children, نُسَارِعُ لَهُمْ فِي الْخَيْرَاتِ, that we are then therefore giving them the good, the total good and the virtues? أَلَّا يَشْعُرُونَ. No, they lack the proper perspective and understanding of what is true goodness. Oh, so what is true goodness? What is the criteria for becoming the foremost in good, if it's not material possessions and pleasures? Next slide. And then Allah lists down in ayah 57, 58, 59, 65 characteristics of the sabiqun. Ayah 56 says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ هُمْ مِنْ خَشْيَةِ رَبِّهِمْ مُشْفِقُونَ. These are people who experience a state of fear and awe of their Lord. They know their Lord and they respond to their Lord by feeling a state of fear and awe. Many people don't know the Lord, or if they know they tend to forget, or if they remember, they don't respond by fear, by humbleness, by humility, by experiencing awe. These people are different. The sabiqun, they seek the Lord. In Surah Fatir, chapter 35, Allah says, you know amongst the creation who is the one foremost in fearing his Lord? It's the one who is alim. إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاء. Those who truly fear the Lord amongst the creation are those who are ulama. Question: how do I become an alim so that I can experience the fear of the Lord? Ayah number 28. Ayah number 27 then explains, أَلَمْ تَرَ أَنَّ اللَّهَ أَنزَلَ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً. Don't they look and ponder and reflect how Allah has created this wonderful system whereby water is cycled such that it descends from the skies, فَأَخْرَجْنَا بِهِ ثَمَرَاتٍ, and then we cause vegetation to appear, مُخْتَلِفًا أَلْوَانُهَا, of diverse colors, وَمِنَ الْجِبَالِ جُدَدٌ بِيضٌ وَحُمْرٌ. And also look at the different types of rocks and mountains. Some are white, some are red, the color of the soil and the rock. مُخْتَلِفٌ أَلْوَانُهَا وَغَرَابِيبُ السُّودِ, and the black ones also. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ وَالدَّوَابِّ وَالْأَنْعَامِ مُخْتَلِفٌ أَلْوَانُهُ كذلك. Look at the diversity, externally in the form of colors, internally in the form of the physical and the chemical structures. Look, observe, ponder, reflect, and appreciate how diversity reflects the power, the wisdom, the knowledge of God. And then after all this diversity and the wonderfulness of creation, conclusion, إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهِ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ هُمُ الْعُلَمَاء. The alim here being referred to is the one who looks around and learns the secrets of creation. So first quality of the Sabiqun is that they have a sense of awe of their Lord. 1. 2. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ بِآيَاتِ رَبِّهِمْ يُؤْمِنُونَ. And they have Iman. Iman is not only to know now. You know there is a Lord. You know He is powerful. He's all-wise. All these perfect qualities impress upon you so deeply that you respond to Him in awe. You have scientists who are secular-minded, who say that there is design in the universe and there is a designer. So they experience a sense of amazement and awe at this creation. But there's no faith yet. Faith is when this knowledge is now transferred to the soul and the heart, and the spirit now accepts and submits. Stage 2. Stage 3. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ بِرَبِّهِمْ لَا يُشْرِكُونَ. And then once they submit, they try to avoid shirk. Shirk not only in saying that this universe has a double or triple or multiple partner in creation, but also in the manner in which they respond to that one Lord. They submit only to Allah, not to desire. To submit to desire is shirk. أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ. O Prophet, have you seen some of these people? They forget the real God, they make desires as the real God. Desires can become God, money can become God, dunya can become God, shaitan can become God. أَلَمْ أَعْهَدْ إِلَيْكُمْ يَا بَنِي آدَمَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا. Don't worship shaitan. Shaitan can become God for some people. They don't have shirk, these people. They know 1, they believe 2, and they purify themselves mentally, emotionally, character, spiritually, behaviorally, such that they only follow God, not the desires, not the dunya, not the money, and not any other entity other than God. وَالَّذِينَ يُؤْتُونَ مَا آتَوْا. And once they reach that stage, despite the selfishness which is there in untrained, undisciplined human beings, whereby they would like to hoard, these people recognize that whatever they have has been given to them as a gift, and they want to share, therefore, the blessings. وَالَّذِينَ يُؤْتُونَ مَا آتَوْا. 4. And finally, they know that they're going to return back to the Lord. وَقُلُوبُهُمْ وَجِلَةٌ. Their hearts are always in a state of fear because they know they will be taken to account. They will die. 1, they will be brought back to life. 2, they shall be shown their whole life experiences. 3, they shall be questioned. 4, and therefore they constantly make their hisab here. 5. These are the sabiqun. أُولَٰئِكَ يُسَارِعُونَ فِي الْخَيْرَاتِ. These are the ones who are the foremost in doing good. وَهُمْ لَهَا سَابِقُونَ. And these are the ones who are the sabiqun. Next slide, please. So after the description of this group, sabiqun, and the reward, 7 bounties promised for them, now the discussion shifts to the second group, the ashabul yamin or the ashabul maymana. وَأَصْحَابُ الْيَمِينِ مَا أَصْحَابُ الْيَمِينِ. And now let me tell you, O Prophet, and you tell the people about the people of the right hand. Or who are the people of the right hand? Well, the people of the right hand are either those who shall be rewarded by the record of their deeds in the right hand as a matter of respect and honor and dignity, or the people of the right hand are those who shall be taken to heaven by the right hand as a matter of respect. Or no, maymana or yameen is derived from the word yomin, which was barakah. These are the people who are blessed because of their righteous efforts. Ma ashabul yamin. What can make you know who these people are? It's difficult to describe them. The rank and the position that they occupy is quite high. Next slide, please. And then there is a description of the bounties given to the people of the right hand. There are about 6 mentioned. I didn't change that. There is one which can be interpreted in 2 ways. So we can say there are either 7 bounties or maybe 6 bounties that will be given to these people. Number 1, fi sidrin makhdud, they shall be in the shade of the lote tree. وَطَلْحٍ مَمْضُودٍ, and they shall be in the shade of trees which are with wide leaves and with a variety. وَظِلٍّ مَمْدُودٍ, and they shall be under the shade which is therefore pleasant and extended and cool. وَمَاءٍ مَسْكُوبٍ, and water that shall be flowing constantly. It's not like the desert life. Sometimes you get water, sometimes you don't get water. And not like the city life here. Sometimes you get some. وَفَاكِهَةٍ كَثِيرَةٍ, and plentiful fruits. وَلَا مَقْطُوعَ وَلَا مَمْنُوعَ, it shall be constantly flowing and it shall not be difficult to access. وَفُرُشٍ مَرْفُوعَةٍ, and also, now this furush can either mean carpets or it can mean spouses. وَفُرُشٍ مَرْفُوعَةٍ إِنَّا جَعَلْنَاهُنَّ أَبْكَارًا, and we have made them to be virgins. عُرْبًا أَتْرَابًا لِأَصْحَابِ الْيَمِينِ, specifically for those people who are the people of the right hand. This is an outline. Let's go into details. Next slide. أَصْحَابِ الْيَمِينِ, the pleasure they shall enjoy is fi sidrin. Sabr is the lote tree. Sabr is that same powder, the leaf powder, which we then use to apply to water during the ghusl of the mayyit. It was a tree known to the Arabs. The tree leaves were accessible to them. But the description is it is makhdud. The Holy Prophet was approached by a Bedouin Arab. He says, well, you are telling us that the reward to be given to Ashab al-Yamin will be the lote tree, the shade of the lote tree. They were surrounded by this lote tree, but I feel it's going to be hurtful because it has thorns. And the Prophet said, no, did you notice it is not only sidr, it is makhdud. Makhdud is when the thorns are removed, it's thornless. The tree has a positive character, it has a negative character. Take the positive, purify it, perfect it, extend it, that's what's going to be available. If it has any defect, remove it. Look at the symbolism. Another group of Mufassirin say that some Muslims, when they were traveling to Ta'if in the Wadi of Wajj, they saw these trees, the lote trees, and they said, wow, this is a desirable garden to have. Again, the Quran is addressing the mind that in its local environment it observed and it saw and therefore it desired some sort of pleasure. So the Quran says this is something that will be given to you, but in a much higher level. So conclusion, the lote tree, which is thornless, is an earthly description of a heavenly tree. A tree, for example, which on earth is known to rise to very high heights of 40 meters and known to live for several thousand years also. Can we have the next slide? That's the picture I could get of the leaf of the lote tree. Next slide. The description in Arabia, it's a wild thorny shrub-like tree, grows in desert areas where groundwater accumulates. When cultivated, it bears good fruit. Fruit is thornless, and the fruits resemble many apples, and the leaf powder is used for dead bodies. The Arabic name is sidr. The fruit is nabaq or nabiq, also dom. There's a botanical name. In Kiswahili it's known as? Aha, okay. In Swahili it's known as? Bora. Kunazi, okay. Ziziphus spinacristi is the botanical name, the Christ thorn. They said that Christ wore that crown of thorns. These thorns were taken from this lot tree. Next slide, please. Right, this is one bounty. Sidrin makhawid. If you can imagine a tree which is long living, which is huge, which has got so many benefits, it is that same tree without all the defects, but its positive character enhanced to the maximum. 1. 2. وَطَلْحٍ مَمْرُودٍ. The second bounty is there will be talh, according to some, is the banana tree. Banana tree whose leaves are wide, the fruit is sweet, it's beautiful to look at, it's good smelling. That could be one interpretation. A second interpretation, talh, a tree with clusters, mamghud, either the leaves are clustered or no, the fruit is clustered and therefore gives you a pleasant and cool shade. Or a third interpretation is they saw similar trees in different parts of Arabia, South Arabia, Yemen, or other parts of Hijaz, and it was beautiful. Or no, a fourth interpretation could be a talh is a contrast to sidr. Sidr is a tree, a representation of a type of tree where the leaves are short. Talh is a contrast, a tree with wide leaves. The whole spectrum that you can imagine of the variety of leaves in a tree. Next slide, please. That's supposed to be a banana tree with wide leaves and cluster of fruits down there. Next slide. Cluster of fruits. Next. وَظِلٍّ مَمْدُودٍ. And a third bounty that shall be granted to Ashab al-Yamin is that they shall have shades which are extended. You must appreciate this is talking to a mind for whom the discomfort and the displeasure of the heat of the sun was a big problem. They would look for shades in the tent, look for shades in an oasis, look for shade under a tree. How do you explain to them that you can experience a degree of comfort where the temperature is cool, where the breeze blows to a refreshing sense? Dhillin mamdud, a shade which is extended in time and extended in space, and therefore that creates the effect of a cool climate. Put it in modern terms, you're talking about air conditioner. Central. Sorry? Central. Providing electrical supplies. And that's the point. In the dunya, you can artificially create a dhill which is mamdud. But the problem with that is your energy supply is limited. 1. The problem with that is the provision is going to be limited to that space that you create. Problem with that is 3. Your body can sustain that type of environment for a short period of time. The Quran wants us to appreciate in the Arab mind, given that environment, how to explain to him that there are certain pleasures of the body. It gives the example of the cool shade. Come to modern times, we try to recreate the same pleasures that old people were looking for, but the problems are still there. We cannot create on this limited earth with all these restrictions the perfect and ideal cool climate. Jannah is different. According to some riwayah, or in fact it's even mentioned in the ayah, the climate in paradise will resemble that of the early morning in summer. It's neither too cold and nor too hot. لا يرون فيها شمسا, there shall not be the heat of the midday sun, ولا زمهريرا, and neither there shall be the extreme cold. Or for example, another explanation of the shade is in Surah Nisa chapter 4, ayah number 57. وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, those who believe and do good deeds. سَنُدْخِلُهُمْ جَنَّاتٍ, We shall give them entry to gardens of paradise. تجري من تحتها الأنهار. Rivers shall be flowing on the ground. خالدين فيها. They shall stay therein forever. أبدا. Eternally. لهم فيها أزواج. They shall have spouses there. But none with the physical defects or emotional defects or spiritual defects of the world. مطهرة. أزواج. But those have been perfected and purified. وندخلهم ظلا ظليلا. And we shall make them enter a shade which is extended. Dhalil, dhil, which becomes dhalil, is a pure, complete shade. You enter the garden first, and the initial sense of comfort, joy, the more you enter deeper, the shade becomes cooler and more comfortable. Dhillan dhalila. Next slide, please. Well, this is the best picture I could get to demonstrate a continuous extended shade. Next slide, please. Number 4, وَمَاءٍ مَسْكُوبٍ, and water that shall be ever flowing, which shall be abundant, which shall be crystal clear, which shall slake the thirst. And according to some riwayah, it shall be tinged with wine. Again, the wine being referred to here is that perfect wine, not the defective wine. And notice this is different from what will be given to the muqarrabun. The muqarrabun will be given the pure wine to drink. They will be given water tinged with wine. That's the difference in the status. Next slide, please. Well, water, beautiful, crystal clear, mist, rainbow, pleasant breeze that blows, wonderful sight to look at. Play with your imagination. Next slide, please. Number 5, وَفَاكِهَةٍ كَثِيرًا لَا مَقْطُوعَةٍ وَلَا مَمْنُوعَةٍ. And there shall be fruits which shall be plentiful, abundant, both in numbers and in quality and variety, and in taste and in delicacy. And la maqtu'a, they shall be constantly flowing, and they shall not be difficult to therefore access and obtain, and they shall have no difficulty in eating. You will not need to cook, or they won't have any of those seeds. You'll have seedless, I suppose, and thornless. Next slide, please.
This is imagination.
This is just to stimulate the imagination, right? But apply the same principle. The variety of fruits here are limited, one, but just when you're exposed to the limited variety, it excites you, it makes your saliva flow. There, the numbers are going to be unlimited, one, in quantity. Two, the quality also will be different. Three, our sensibilities will be advanced. Four, our appreciation will be from another perspective. 5, our hunger and desire for it will not be such that you eat fruit 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I'm full, please don't give me more. If you can imagine a situation where you can reset the thermostat to the hunger state all the time, and then for every new fruit that you eat, you enjoy in the same intense manner that you would imagine an extremely thirsty person given even a drop of water. That is the degree of pleasure that will be experienced by everyone. وَفَاكِهَةٍ كَثِيرًا لَا مَقْطُوعَةٍ وَلَا مَمْنُوعَةٍ. Sorry.
Not many price tags, right?
Next slide, please. Number 6 and or number 7. وَفُرُشٍ مَرْفُوعَةٍ. Furush is either the plural of farsh, which is the carpet, or firash. Metaphorically, the Arab called his spouse the firash also. So this can be interpreted in 2 ways. Both can be correct, because other verses in other surahs do talk about special carpets. Next, and if they're marfu'a, if it's carpet, it's high quality. If it's a spouse, he or she shall be high either. Therefore, in any sense of perfection that you can imagine, mental perfection, physical perfection, the character of grace and harmony and peace. Next slide, please. Inna ansha'nahunna insha'a. We shall create them in a special way. So this could either mean that the same earthly spouses are refashioned in a much different way. Or no, we could refer to the heavenly spouses who are ever fresh. Next slide. وَجَعَلْنَاهُنَّ عُرُبًا أَتْرَابًا إِنَّا جَعَلْنَاهُنَّ أَبْكَارًا عُرُبًا أَتْرَابًا. They shall be virgins. Every time you approach them, they'll be untouched. They will be like the untouched ones. Why? Because the process of recreation is constant. And two, عُرُبًا أَتْرَابًا. Like in age, therefore like in mental development. Not too high as to elicit envy, not too low as to elicit disrespect, but at the same age where the companionship of the same level of development in itself is a pleasure. Atraba. Arub, they're loving. Arub is a plural of arub. Arub, one who's expressive, one who's articulate, and who displays affection, and they are virgins. Next slide, please. لِأَصْحَابِ الْيَمِينِ. And this is specific for those people who are the people of the right hand. All of this. Next slide. ثُلَّةٌ مِّنَ الْأَوَّلِينَ وَثُلَّةٌ مِّنَ الْآخِرِينَ. Sabiqun, the majority of them were from the past communities, past groups, and few from this last group. Our majority were from the first companions of the Prophet, lesser from the latter companions. Ashab al-Yamin, many of them from the past, many of them also from the future generations. Both, either meaning many from the past Prophet's Ummah and many from the last Prophet's Ummah, or many from the early members of the Ummah and many from the later members of the Ummah. Why? Because the majority of people will strive and try to achieve at the average level. When you're talking about above average, or you're talking about the elite, obviously there are going to be very few who can achieve that level. Next slide. Conclusion. If we sit and contrast now between the rewards for the Sabiqun and the reward for Ashab al-Yamin, you notice there are some differences. Number one, the variety is greater for the Sabiqun compared to the Ashab al-Yamin. Number two, not only the quantity but the quality is different compared to the Ashab al-Yamin. Number three, even if there is one particular blessing which is the same on both sides, let's say both are given fruits, but the description is different. For Ashab al-Yamin is فَاكِهَةٍ كَثِيرًا لَا مَقْطُوعَ وَلَا مَمْنُوعَ. But in the case of Sabiqun is وَفَاكِهَةٍ مِّمَّا يَتَخَيَّرُونَ. There's a difference. The Ashab al-Yamin shall be served, the service shall be constant, the service should be accessible. But for the Sabiqun, they create it themselves, and they have a choice much greater than what is available for Ashab al-Yamin. I'll just explain why, probably. So that will be the third difference. Same thing will apply to the spouses. Both will be given spouses. But there's a difference between Ashab al-Yamin and Sabiqun. And look at the emphasis on the spiritual aspect of the blessings. Whereas there's no mention of the spiritual. It's not that it will not be there, but this is much greater for the Muqarrabun compared to the Ashab al-Yamin. Essentially, what we need to appreciate is this, that in the Qiyamah, in the next world, what we shall be given and what we shall experience is a high level form of the same pleasures that we can have in the dunya, lakini, the seeds have to be laid down here. And it is these seeds which then fructify and appear in the akhirah. Ad-dunya mazra'atul akhirah. Al-yawma tujzawna ma kuntum ta'amalun. For the muqarrabun, they said, jaza'an bima kanu ya'malun. This is the reward, this is the result, this is the extension, this is the projection, this is the manifestation of the very deed that they performed. Okay, let me graphically dramatize how an act here is exchanged, projected, purified, perfected to a reward there. The Prophet went to Mi'raj and he observed things in Jannah. One behavior that he saw was a bit strange. He saw the angels, sometimes they're laying down bricks for making a palace out of gold or silver, and sometimes they would stop. And so the Prophet asked, how come you're not constant in your work? And the angel said, well, we'll be waiting for the person in the dunya to do something. When he says, Subhanallah, walhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu akbar, we lay the brick. Simple act, Subhanallah. Already that act is transferred, it's transmogrified, it's purified, it's perfected in that silver or golden brick that's going to be laid down there. It's that instantaneous. There's no separation. Jaza'an bima kanu ya'malun. No. Al-yawma tujzawna ma kuntum ta'malun. This is your act itself, which you performed in the dunya. All these 6 or 7 qualities, Ashabul Yameen, already in comparison to the Sabiqun, if you interpret that furush in one meaning, they had 6 blessings compared to the 7 of the Sabiqun. Each of these is a direct manifestation of something that these people were doing in the dunya. To experience shade, variety, coolness, abundance of water and fruit. Presumably in the dunya, what the Ashabul Yameen must have been doing is they were purifying their nafs, they were controlling their desires, they were subjugating their will to the will of God. They began sharing what Allah gave them. If you create a shade for somebody else, Allah creates a shade for you. If you make drinks available for the one who is thirsty, Allah makes drinks for you. Every single act of virtue or goodness done here is transferred there in a much more purified form. But here in the dunya, the purity of the nafs wants to do good, but the dunya is limited. It doesn't give him enough tools to operate. In akhirah, there's no limit. If this person were to come back to the dunya a second time, a third time, a fourth time, 100 times, like the ashab told Imam Hussein alayhi salam, every time you're going to be ready to die. And therefore this nafs has given its test. In the akhirah, therefore, the reward is going to be continuous and eternal and unending. Because sababu, the purity of the nafs is now unending. Given any opportunity, he will do it. The problem with him is he doesn't have the means. The dunya doesn't give him the means. Within the limited means that was provided to him, he maximally used it and did something good. And therefore that nafs, given the opportunity with the ground available in akhirah, it manifests itself in a variety of forms, in much more intense forms. The muqarrabun are higher in their level of sacrifice, of purity, of perfection. And like I said, the example you can imagine is when a needy person comes to you, are you going to give him 0.1% of your earnings, or 1%, or 5%, or like Imam Hassan alayhi salam, 50%? Do we have the strength, the sense of sacrifice to give 50% away? There is no way to reach muqarrabun. It's difficult. It's not impossible, but it's difficult. Can we wake up like the Prophet midnight and spend the whole night in prayer? That is a sabiqun. Let's pray to Allah. As we read the surah, the excitement that it should provoke should then stimulate us to try as much good as is possible to become members of Ashab al-Yamin. No, we should then gradually try to get closer to the Sabiqun. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.